All right. We're live.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming out, listening to The Real Short Box. My name's Donald.
And my name is the unlimited potential of Supreme Chancellor Kevin.
And I, of course, am Darren the Educator. And as you can clearly see, I am the most important person on this show because I'm largest in frame.
Because you're actually 20 pounds overweight. That's why I said.
You know, it's quite possible that I might be 20 pounds overweight. This is exactly why I chose to wear a black sweater vest. Black is slimming.
I'm wearing black too, but that's nothing. That's not reason. That's
black
not reason.
cannot be your favorite color because it has to be your favorite colors because all of them make black.
And that is a good black and blue representing, the colors of a beating.
I'm sorry. I'm a little thrown. Kevin has jokes today. I'm not used to this.
I'm not used to this either.
But
back and enjoying it.
but no, this is great. I mean, I really can't argue with you. I mean, this is a little plaid right here.
It is.
Absolutely.
Very stylish.
See, sometimes we can make the audience laugh a little bit when we do random surprise things like this.
If we had sound effects,
You're supposed to react and everything. See that camera thread line? It's right there.
I
You
want
gotta
sound
follow
effects.
through. All right.
Let's have that in the budget for next time. Sound effects.
Hey, Donald, I have a question. Where are we right now?
Oh, we are in the lovely We Can Be Heroes here in Chatsworth, California, everybody. Yay, Chatsworth. Porn. They film a lot of porn in Chatsworth.
Weren't you?
Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. There's a lot of headquarters from those companies are here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Actually, I don't know if you know this, but if you're in Chatsworth for too long, somehow you automatically end up in a porn.
I see.
I don't know how that
So,
works.
Don, are
Just
you
end
saying
up
you're
in one.
intimately familiar with this?
I worked in Chatsworth for a while.
Yes,
so I
you
was
did,
here for a
absolutely.
while.
So you were personally and intimately involved in this particular industry, is what you're saying.
Anyway, we're going to get started.
All
here.
right. So
We have some things to discuss.
Yes.
I think basically that what we're going to be talking about, this is the Thanos theory, everybody. So we're going to be talking a little bit about, guess who? Thanos, right? And all of
The Mad
the
Titan,
things that he had to
as they
do.
call him.
As far as we all know him from the comic books and, of course, the Avengers movies. And in the comic books, correct me if I'm wrong, but Thanos was a little different from what he is in the movies.
Correct, because in the comic book, he truly worshipped the personification of death.
Right. So
He was in love with death.
he had a
obsessed.
big raging heart-on for death.
Oh yes,
And
do anything for her.
he wanted to keep that. And in order to keep that, he had to please death. And the best way he could think of to please death was to annihilate everything in the known universe, right?
Or at least half.
Yeah, or at least, well, in the comics, I think basically
It's
most of it, right? Or was it
No,
half?
I think it was still
Was it
half.
half? Okay, so what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be doing something a little different, more along the lines of the film of what Thanos did, in that he wanted to eliminate all of half of life in order to help the universe and help Earth and help all these other planets and starving people and resources being used up and everything. So we're going to have Darren argue against that point.
yes.
And we're going to have Kevin argue for that point. And I'm here to moderate. I'm in this nice big comfy chair here. I'm like the talk show host tonight. And as you can see, we do have the gauntlet here.
The proper
So
gauntlet, the southpaw one.
What we're going to do is we're going to take a vote. We're going to take a vote in studio here. We've got some guests over here. We're going to take a vote in studio after we hear both arguments. And we're going to reach out to you guys online here in the chats and let us know. And those of you that have my number, feel free to text me as well. And I can look up and we'll tally the votes. And the winner gets to wear the gauntlet for the evening. Isn't that great?
Hey,
That's nice going.
That's pretty cool, right?
That's cool.
But a close up. I get a close up of this.
yes, we definitely need to close the gauntlet.
Right. If I can do it. There we go. Oops. Wrong. Can't get the finger. There we go.
Whoa, you can't do that.
Now, but before we get started, Vanna, may I have my list? Would you be so kind as to pull out Invincible Iron Man number 55?
Oh,
So I want to take a moment to let you know at We Can Be Heroes, they do have the very first appearance, amongst others, but Thanos is in this particular book. Kevin, I assume you own this book?
Not only do I own this book, it is one of my personal favorites. So many wonderful characters debuted in there.
So many.
So many.
Donald, I assume you own this book as well?
No,
Really?
no.
I'm
I
kind of
don't.
surprised by that.
I did buy that book, but I don't own it.
That's true. He did 10 years ago. About 10 years ago.
What kind of a flip are we talking here?
No,
No
not a flip. It was a gift.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, folks, this is the first appearance of Thanos at We Can Be Heroes. This is for sale. Come on down and join us. Thank you very much. All right, Kevin. So originally what gave us an idea for this podcast was there is a particular individual who's a big Thanos fan who could not join us this evening. Hopefully they will come join us in the future to explain themselves
And
if this
hopefully-
comes back.
Right. Hopefully they're viewing as well because we got a little treat for them as well here in a little bit. Some of their favorite characters in a couple of these books here.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
All right. So, Kevin, I'm going to leave it to you right now to make the case. Being that this is the night of the Iowa caucuses, there will be a lot of debating involved. I would like you to make the case
So
why
I'm gonna start.
Thanos could be right.
So I'm going to start.
Yes.
Well, first, let me start. We'll start with this first section, population control.
Yes.
Now, Darren, as you're aware, the Earth that we live on is heavily populated. 7.62 billion people currently live and breathe on this terrestrial planet.
over 7 billion people.
Yes, sir.
McDonald's wasn't lying.
No, they were not. They were not.
Billion served.
Well, more than that. It's like 100, it's like
Wow.
100 billion burgers served or
That's
something like that.
insane. Okay.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
And by the year 2050, 30 years from now, it's going to expect to be over 10 billion people walking this wonderful Earth.
Oh, really?
Now, we have to ask the question. That's a lot of people. Food supplies are dwindling. The air supply itself, in some respects, you can argue, is dwindling.
Mm-hmm.
Resources in general are dwindling. There's not enough jobs. What are we going to do? The snap was a righteous decision because what you're doing, you're making it possible for the remaining people to actually have a decent life, to have enough food, enough space to run around. Think about that. Wouldn't you agree? Now, yes, it sounds vicious. It sounds mean-spirited, but you know what? This is what must be done.
You're saying there's not enough jobs currently.
Absolutely. There
I don't
isn't.
know about that. There's plenty of jobs out there.
You don't say.
Yes.
Okay. Let me.
Globally.
It's just the job you want.
Okay, tell people that in India who have nothing, no job at all.
But they're just lazy.
Wow.
I don't.
Dude, India doesn't listen to us anyway.
No, I think they
Okay,
do.
so here's
You have
the
an
thing.
Indian roommate.
So here,
How would he feel about that?
He's not working.
Yes, he is.
He could be, but he's not.
Wow. Whew.
I'm just saying.
Man, I thought this was a tough election cycle, man.
okay.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you've got to do a little more work to win me over on this, to win the audience over on
You
this.
really do have to win the audience
Do
over.
we have
Do-
any comments
do you-
currently, or are we
do you-
still?
do you
Yeah,
want me-
actually, we do. It looks like, our good friend and proper member of the podcast, Jared. He said, Thanos killed half my Oreo stash. Well, you know what, Jared? That's a good thing because that's too much for you, sir. You can't handle that kind of Oreo stash. You don't want to get any bigger than you are, brother. You want to stay a nice fit size. So it's good that Thanos took half your Oreo. Matter of fact, he should take the half with the cream on it and only leave you the darker half.
Oh, well, that's Thanos is a horrible, horrible thing. I can't root for him right now because he's taking all the cream out of the Oreos.
Look, sometimes there's too much sweetness, too much sugar there. Sometimes you just need the plain dark half.
Okay, so here's my argument on that is okay, so can you make, let's say for example, you have a whole bag of Oreos and he just takes half the creams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you just take the creams and then throw out the other half of just the one side of the cookie and then like double the cream inside of the Oreo.
So
Make
basically-
like a double stack.
So basically, a non-cream Oreo is what you're saying, right?
No, a cream Oreo.
A cream Oreo.
Because you still have half that have cream.
Oh yeah, true. That's a good point.
So then you end up having a quarter of them, but they'll all be double stuffed.
You know what? That can work.
It's not bad.
That can work. It's not a bad idea.
And then whoever's a dummy that just likes the cookie, they can have that. Oh, you can give it to the people in India.
that could
You
work.
said they're starving.
Many people are in India and all
Yeah,
parts
they're
of the world.
starving. They will love that other half of the cookie
But it's
without
not-
the cream. They won't even know that there was
But it's
cream
not
originally.
nutritious. It's not
You think
nutritious.
they're going to smell it? They're going to take the time to smell. There was cream here. No, they're just going to eat it because they're hungry.
No, that's true. But you want to give them something nutritious. Hence, you have a problem with, you have too many. Actually, you don't have enough meat. I mean, that's a big complaint for a lot of vegetarians and vegans. If we would eliminate half the population, there'll be enough more meat available. There'll be more fish. We're overfishing the seas. Guess what? You don't have to overfish anymore because half the population would no longer be around.
Well, couldn't you just have people just snap and become vegetarians?
That's an idea, but then we have another problem.
What?
What if too many, plants are now being taken away and eaten and consumed? Then what?
You think a lot of people are going to be eating trees, huh?
Hey, a lot of people smoke trees, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it.
And that's probably why he needed the full stash of Oreos.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm not saying anything wrong with that. That's your
is your-
business.
This is your opening argument. I would like to turn now to Darren and see what his opening argument is on his side of the theory here.
Okay, so here's the thing. We have to be able to decipher the difference between reality and just myth. Because the thing is, of course, with our endless access to information at our fingertips right now, and being able to cross-check different points of view on this, there are just some things that, I could obviously sit here and quote stats to you, but I just want to use some basic common sense and ask you a couple questions. So
Sure.
you mentioned basically that food supplies are running short. You realize we live in a country where 24 hours a day, you can not only walk into a grocery store, but you can virtually buy food from all over the world, correct?
That's limited to a few countries such as ourselves. I'm talking about the majority of the world doesn't have that kind of access to food.
But is that through bad economic policy, or is it just because,
Combination of the two. And that's another thing. You
Okay.
eliminate half the population, you have less stupid politicians out there.
Well, I can't really argue with that.
Okay, so Darren, I guess one of my questions would be immediately here was you're saying that it could be because of lack of knowledge that they're kind of ruining themselves.
It's not lack of knowledge necessarily, because I think generally speaking, people are smart. That's just what I think. I think when you talk to your average person, they're pretty aware of things. What I'm saying is that you have certain areas. If you could just a pinch, thank you. There are certain countries out there where are unfortunately run by brutal dictators that hoard all the resources and then distribute them however they wish. And I mean, if we just found out, not to get too deeply political, as we're kind of opposed to that here, but if you remember, there was a scandal in Puerto Rico with all the extra supplies literally being hoarded and not given out to people. So this is very common that, governments, some of them are evil, some are just flat out incompetent. I mean, it just really kind of depends on how you do it. So my initial argument is that how have we figured out how to have 24/7 grocery stores with food from all over the world when my brother went to Germany and grocery stores closed at 5 p.m. That's just a silly idea to me. Like, people have to eat, right? To me.
Get your food early or you're shit out of luck.
Exactly.
You're not going to eat
That's the way
today.
that works.
You're not going to eat today.
Exactly.
I suppose you can go to a restaurant then if you didn't get your food. Yeah, that's your punishment. Now you got to pay to go out to eat.
Now, Kevin, something that was really interesting, this was an American study that was just recently posted. We have the lowest birth rate in the country in our country's history.
Yes, that's
Currently.
true.
Currently, yes.
Wow.
This is the lowest birth rate. So the population growth is not really that high. Now, if you consider 98% of Americans are wealthy by global standards,
That's right.
my assumption is if you have a lower birth rate, which is the current trend right now, that you would have to probably ask yourself, are we really going to run out of resources that quickly? Because the fact of the matter is you can only put so many cheeseburgers in your mouth. I mean, this is just how this works. So that's something else. You were saying
It's interesting. The cheeseburger theory.
the cheeseburger theory, man. Who doesn't like cheeseburgers?
I don't.
Kevin's a rare bird. He
Oh.
doesn't like cheeseburgers,
Like
pizza, ice cream,
coffee,
fun. Hates
fun.
that. Hates fun.
Well, I have different ways.
Birthday parties can't. stand them.
I have different ways of fun, enjoying. having a
Donald,
good time.
are you a fan of cheese turkey burgers?
If there's cheese on it, I'm a fan of most things.
Okay, fair enough. And also, too, God forbid we ever get to this point, but you were talking about how we have dwindling meat supplies, yet they will not kill a cow in India, your favorite country.
That's when the exceptions to the rule. That's true.
I mean, let's be real. If we built a Noah's Ark and just called it Noah's Ark, for example, and put all the cows from India on it, I mean, that's a lot of beef, man.
True. However, it's still not enough to feed the entire planet.
Ostriches.
By the way, have you heard of Thomas Robert Malthus?
Of course I've heard of Malthus.
Are you familiar with the Malthusian theory? The theory of the population tends to increase at a faster rate than it means of subsistence, and that unless it is checked by moral restraint or by disease, famine, war, and other disaster, widespread poverty and degradation will inevitably result. So if we don't get at control of this population, the true four horsemen of the apocalypse will come.
Wow.
Yes.
That's just stunning.
yes.
I mean, I suppose in limited protectionist, no offense, socialist kind of government models, this is something that is potentially real. But as I'm sure you know, Kevin, I know you're old enough to remember your family or maybe even you purchasing a television in like 1992.
Yes, about that. Yes.
Okay, a 25-inch tube television cost you how much money? Take a guess.
Now, a few $100.
Yeah, well, about a month's worth of a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much it costs now to buy a flat screen HD 4K television?
Probably about the same.
About a day's worth of a paycheck.
Hmm.
That's a massive, huge difference. And that is because of free trade, my friend, which I know deep down you support. So if we can get pork from China, why can't China send pork to somewhere else?
Because they don't want to.
Okay, so you're saying because they don't want to, we have to pretend that there's not enough food. Well, we don't want to send it. Why? Well, we just don't want to.
We had somebody bring up the double stuff that they do create that in the Oreos.
They do.
But you're going to have the same scenario. I think they failed to realize that where half their double stuffs are gone. So I don't see an issue with there being double stuffs.
All I'm saying is you can go without the cream.
I hate to admit, I like mint Oreos.
You do.
They're delicious.
There's
And
nothing wrong with a mint Oreo.
they're pretty looking, too.
I
They're
like them
green.
too.
Especially
They
for
match
next
my
month.
They got
eyes.
peanut butter ones too.
Yeah, peanut butter's not
You
bad.
know,
Great.
also,
The ones that shouldn't exist, if Thanos can snap them out of existence, those birthday cake ones can go, and the cinnamon ones too. Bye.
You have something against cinnamon?
Get out.
and funny enough, Kevin, because I know I'm going to help.
one in my Oreo.
I'm going to help expose your intelligence here. What are the two most populated countries in the world?
China and India.
Absolutely. Now, China has had a one-child policy for
many years.
Eons.
Until recently.
Yes, let's
recently.
Let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as the one-child policy in China, if it was a boy,
yes,
you were fine.
Yes.
yes.
But if it was a girl,
It'd be a
Let's not cross and be offensive here, but they would just be gotten rid of.
right? I think that's pretty offensive.
Which-
right?
What's interesting to me is because of this one-child policy too, if you have excess males in a society, where do they go? It's the military.
Someone's making a
This
good
is
point
just-
here.
That's a good point.
This person, 10S TARDIS, if I'm reading that right, that cream is gross on its own. You see, I have a supporter. That
No,
cream
you don't.
I mean, this
It's
is good
gross.
Thanos
on
theory
its
stuff.
own.
How do you have a supporter when you're saying you only need the cookie part?
You don't need the cream.
Maybe
you just
the
need cookie
cream
part.
is gross on its own, so they think. And I'm going to disagree there on that, because if I could just have just the creams from the Oreo, I'd mix it with all kinds of shit.
And then how about the mystery Oreo? What about the mystery
So
Oreo?
Kevin,
It's
I want to ask one more point though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, since we're on hamburgers, if there's really going to be 10 billion people in 2050, I'm not terribly concerned about that. And let's say, for example, I mean, I know for a fact there are enough Impossible Burgers in the world.
Really?
There have to be. I mean, come on.
But I think Kevin's
But what
talking
about
about
all these cows putting methane up in the air? Because
who cares?
Kevin, if I may. I think what he's saying is that it's every person's job to care, in that we have to look towards the future of the human species, not just the just now.
We got to think 100 years,
So,
1,000 years into the future.
You have all the greed from all the people storing and hiding food and stuff for the just now. You have
Yes.
all the greed from the people with the money for the just now. You have all the people with ruin the environment for the just now. And then in 50 years, when they're gone and moved on, everything's turned to shit. Possibly. We don't 100% know,
yes.
but this is something that could very well happen. And having some sustainability is going to be important, and knowing how to proceed with that. It doesn't seem like there's a set direct knowledge base on that. You have people on one side saying this, people on other. At some point, there's going to have to be some form of a slight unification, but at that point, it might already be too late. But we don't know when that time is going to be. Is the only thing.
And these make for fantastic stories, of course,
Stories.
of people's thoughts of, their views of the future. I mean, you have everything from like Mad Max to The Day After Tomorrow to, gosh knows what else.
Right.
But also, too, like I said earlier, I don't care so much about the methane going into the air because most of the atmosphere is affected by water vapor, which we really can't control anyway. So, that's just my thought on it. I'm just looking at where we are now. It's very hard to predict what will happen in 50 years, aside from, Social Security being bankrupt.
And also,
other than that,
fossil fuel depletion.
Oh, of course. Yeah. You have to consider that. Alternative sources of
Think
fuel
about
are a
the
wonderful
Amazon.
idea.
They're cutting down so many trees to create more farmland because there's too many people.
But,
there's not going to be an Amazon rainforest in 50 years if we keep having too many people.
But on the other hand, in Britain, I read in the whatever that
too
stupid
many people on an island, by the way.
what is that that's that thing called BBC. They said because of the excessive carbon emissions from vehicles, they've actually produced more trees because simple photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is, energy for, energy. It's food for trees. So, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, on one hand, I get what you're saying. On one hand, you can make a negative out of it that's a complete legit negative. On the other hand, I can say, well, look at this positive. And this is why these arguments tend to go on.
Or about the fires in Australia currently. Apparently
unfortunate.
set by stupid humans. If they didn't exist, if half the population is wiped out, you'd have half
Okay,
the
so this is something fun we can talk about, yeah.
Right. There is an argument for that, like for stupidity.
Yes.
But the only problem
You've
is
seen
that
Idiocracy.
I don't think can we in this debate, in this theory of Thanos, does he have the power to go through by the person's level of intelligence and kind of break
Snap
them
them
and
out.
go, this person's too dumb, they're gone?
Why not?
Can he do that? Is that within his capabilities to just mass across, for example, across Australia, go across all of Australia and go, okay, all these people are super stupid and they shouldn't live. I don't know each individual one, but I'm just saying
They
all
must
the
go.
dumb people need to go. In what qualifies as dumb?
Yes.
Did they, accidentally cut
sense.
their finger or something? Or
It'd be a combination
is
of
there an
common
intelligence
sense,
level?
rudeness, common sense, and just flat out silly, inappropriate ignorance.
So you're kind of going with what the good place is more along the lines. That's the good place theory. That would be where to get into the good place, which is it's a television show on NBC. The good place is kind of heaven, in other words, and there's a bad place. To get into good place, you have to have a certain level of points. It's like a point system,
Right?
In order to get accepted in. But if you're below a certain level, you can't get in. But the problem lies within the fact that there's no way to quantify exactly. They had a system, and even their system in their own show failed them.
But Thanos, with his many, many centuries of intellectual scholarship, could figure out a way to pinpoint and then distribute accordingly the death of the snap.
But
the death snap.
if you're talking about Thanos, who's clearly a fictional character,
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
obviously, there's some leeway we can have there. I'm looking at real life people who have actually had the theory of who gets to go. Adolf Hitler comes to mind. Now, I don't think anybody thought that was a good idea.
Well, yes, you're getting
what I mean?
You're getting into eugenics, some of the eugenics.
Well, there was a level of intelligence there. So even if he wasn't stupid,
Yes.
intelligent wise, if he was still an evil person, does that quantify into that? Can you put that in?
You have to quantify not only that, but the immoral people who have bad intentions. They should also be snapped out of existence.
Okay, so like for example, child,
Predators,
molesters,
yes,
predators
they should be
and stuff, yeah.
included in that snap.
They're in the
Okay,
snap.
and then, but you also have Joseph Stalin that thought rich people were the ones who needed to die.
Well, certain type of rich people.
No, more. Well, yeah, the only ones that were allowed to live are the ones that gave their
Because-
wealth
yeah,
back
exactly.
to Joseph Stalin.
Exactly. Hypocritical. Yes, of course.
Precisely. So, like, yeah, I mean, that's why. Obviously, I don't know. Thanos is a fictional character, as we stated, but
Mhm.
I kind of also try to look at it from the perspective of, like, could you imagine, like, I mean, take any doofus in American history. I mean, George McClellan comes to mind. General McClellan. Could you imagine if he was the guy making the decisions? I mean, who would be dead? You know what I mean? Probably some of the most productive people in our history would be dead. Could you imagine, like, people that were anti-industrial revolution? If they had the chance to snap the fingers, we would not have running water, sir. We would not have electricity.
Clean running water.
Yes. And so it's like, that's why I'm kind of opposed to it, because even though in theory this all sounds good, the theory does. The half that never computes to me is who actually gets to push the button.
Well, of course, me.
Okay. So Kevin, let me ask you, how is it that you feel you're qualified to push the button? Because this is a question I asked a friend of the show, Jamin. I'm like, you guys can run every algorithm you want, but how do you know who the right person is to push the button?
Well, I'm kidding about that.
No,
I'm not the right person.
You're not the right person to push the
So,
button.
but within having the gauntlet, could you then create? Can you create life? You can, right? With the gauntlet, so
That's
you could
right.
essentially create the
Well-
ultimate human or the ultimate species, the ultimate perfection of,
Yes.
of a creature
Yes.
that is able to quantify and able to be so perfect that they could be the one to push the button.
And using the time gem, like you saw in Infinity War, Doctor Strange saw all the millions of 14 million possibilities out there. So you can use that to determine how to create a more perfect universe, a more perfect world, to snap out all the inappropriate.
And here is something that I always struggle with, and I know probably a lot of people out there have as well. I've always thought about, I'm not a big believer in, like, religion-wise. It's just not my jam. And
But you're a Buddhist.
It's fine if it is.
Yeah.
They're like a
But
Buddhist or something.
it's just not something that
Oh.
I
Don't offend the Buddhist, Kevin.
take too much into, too much stock into. But for example, for me, I always thought, what if I just happened to die tomorrow?
Mhm.
Right.
And I thought this a lot, even as a kid. I thought it
Of
a
course.
lot.
Me too.
Which is weird.
Me
I
too.
think.
I thought that way too.
No, we're just dark.
So what if we died tomorrow? And the thought was that that's a huge bummer, because I kind of like being alive. But the fact that once you're gone, if you're not a religious person, that's it. There's no pain, there's no sorrow, there's no emotionality to it, no regrets, nothing. You cease to exist, and that's it. You got snapped out of existence.
Right.
So how is there an inhumane aspect to snapping people out of existence?
Sure.
Or is it more of a humane, or is it just a non-start? It just doesn't quantify, because there is nothing after that.
that's a
because they're
very-
gone. Because he can't be snapping them into heaven.
Right.
So even the religious people, they'll probably be pretty pissed, I would imagine, because then
So you want to know
he's taking
where
away their right for that.
Where
Am
you're
I
being,
right?
you want to know where you're being snapped into? You're being snapped
Yes.
into a void of non-existence, or
or
you're
a
being snapped
Slim
to
Jim,
heaven?
you got to be snapped into something.
Well,
That's a good
honestly, I
question.
mean,
The soul world.
I
of
would
course,
go-
as we know, the soul world.
I would go virtually
Can you
100.
take everybody in there?
Yes.
It's almost 100% inhumane by my view, morally, ethically, but also too, the reason I say not fully 100% is there are some awful people that don't deserve to live, and they're usually people that threaten other people's lives or take other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
I get that.
Or there's guys that call you up and say that your social security number's been stolen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they don't.
I don't even know if I would
Yeah.
kill them, but extreme torture I would not be opposed to. I really wouldn't, because I
Yeah.
mean that's just how terrible can you be?
Yeah.
Other than physically harming someone, what worse can you do than take their identity in today's society?
Mm.
Honestly, I've stopped to think about this once or twice.
It happened to Will Smith recently. He had a younger version of himself around and trying to steal his identity. It was terrible. Terrible thing. I was told it was a movie finally, but I was very worried for a while. Very worried for Will Smith.
Well, yes, but
They
also
had guns.
times.
But yeah, I look at just our human history, which obviously Thanos is no human. But I look throughout human history and I ask myself, when people have decided who gets to live and who gets to die, I've just never seen a positive result.
Yeah.
That's just my experience. I've never
Right.
seen it. So
I
if I
get you.
can't see it, it's hard to believe it.
Okay. So real quick, everybody that's listening here,
We're getting deep.
hang with us because at the end of this, we're going to have you vote for either Kevin's side, which is to destroy half the population, snap. Basically, Thanos was right. Or with Darren, where it's incorrect, it's inconsequential, and we need to move forward as a whole.
Someone's making a good point. The doomsday clock is now at 100 seconds to midnight. How do you feel about that, Darren?
I mean, the same way I felt about it yesterday.
And
I just didn't even think about it. It's like I'm worried, but then I'm asleep.
Right. It's like Andy Reid when he won he didn't win the Super Bowl. It was right before the Super Bowl after he won the championship. They said, Andy Reid, how are you preparing? Are you nervous? And he said, no. He said, I had a cheeseburger and then I went to bed.
Ha! It's true. You can put, if we could just take a moment for a little comic shop identification break. Vanna, may I please have Amazing Spider-Man number 300?
ooh,
This is available right
You-
now at We Can Be Heroes. Amazing Spider-Man number 300. And you guys can verify there are 2 of these raw copies. This is not slabbed, my friends. It's a raw copy.
a raw,
And this is
pristine copy.
the first appearance of who, Donald? Amazing Spider-Man 300.
Venom.
Okay, talk to us about Venom. Is he just not the most important, maybe, villain in the modern era?
Eddie Brock, Venom, is a pretty important character
Great character.
because for a lot of reasons. One of them is because it's not too often do they spin a villain directly out of a hero what they are. Like, for example, we had the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, and then we had his cousin, right?
That's cousin Shield.
Right. Had his cousin. She got a blood transfusion, and she became the She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a direct thing, a bloodline direct. But beyond that, it's not too often that happens, or that at that point that it happened where there was a symbiotic suit that Spider-Man was using, and part of that got transferred over, or I think completely at one point, then over into Eddie Brock, who then became Venom.
Yeah, because the symbiote had its own personality and wanted to bond with Peter, refused it, so he was
Right,
He
had
was
his own vendetta.
it was rejected. So hey, and Eddie, they had a similar feelings.
Similar feeling.
similar
It
feeling.
feeds off of raw emotions and
Mhm.
stuff, and Eddie's anger towards Peter and towards life in general was very attractive to the symbiote, and it merged with him, and they
Created-
became fast friends.
Yep.
And which even then eventually spun off because a piece of that suit got left in prison when Eddie Brock got broken out, and left it with Cletus Cassidy, who then became Carnage, a sociopathic, psychological,
Marvel's
menace.
Joker, as you call him.
Marvel's Joker, then became the next Venom, which was then Carnage. So it's a very important character because it is one of Peter Parker's newer but most important
And influential.
villains. Right, very influential.
So the argument obviously has been happening for years that this is the most important book of the modern age. Do you feel that way, or
It's up
is it in the conversation at least?
It's in a
the
conversation, but
conversation.
it's not there for me.
Okay.
No, but it is up there. I would say probably within top 10 for sure.
All right. Well, let's get back on topic here, gentlemen.
Yeah, and well, actually, since we are talking about comic shops as well, we might as well talk about our sponsor.
Yes. I think you're wearing them on your chest. Oh, sorry, not wearing them on your chest. I think we're wearing it just.
Well, this is us.
This is us.
But
But yes, but a
But
sponsor.
they are sponsoring us, the Real Short Box
Here, and we're talking about Spiros Heroes in Canoga Park, California. They have over how many books per se?
300,000 books.
300,000 books, ladies and gentlemen. 300,000. It's insane the amount of books they have. In fact, I have a few here. And these are some very special books from Spiros Heroes that they were so kind to donate to us.
See, the
here
Godfather
for
of
the
comics always takes care of us.
We have a Guardians of the Galaxy number 36. This is the variant. It's a $75 price on that. We have that beauty. And we have the Quasar number 23. This is a rare low print. It's a $50 book as well. So these are some beauties that he did let us take out, and we did get to
Oh wow, you're
Pull it out.
literally taking it out.
we did get to borrow these. But if you look,
Hey, it's a Game Boy ad. Look at
if
that.
you look at it, it's very, very.
Bless you.
Are you? Oh my!
Okay.
Oh, that just went down to like a 9.
All
What
right.
the- Do I need to take that from you?
What's your problem, man? What's your problem, man?
Guys, what? Shit! Can you dry this for me?
I'm
I got
not
snot all
touching
over.
that.
I got snot all over.
I'm not
Do
touching
we
that.
dab it with like
I'm not
paper
touching that.
towel?
I'm not touching.
I don't know.
that.
I don't know. We're just leave it on the floor. We'll just let it go.
Dude, it's water soluble. It
Okay.
might just go.
Just
away.
pretend like it didn't happen.
All right.
So we've got this rare book here. It's great.
Yeah, I see
It's
a
got a
Rocketeer ad.
few,
Check out the Rocketeer ad. That's pretty awesome.
It's got a moist Rocketeer ad.
We are big Rocketeer
Sorry.
folks over here. Billy Campbell
So,
as the Rocketeer, Johnson's 1992 film.
We've got a good question here too. While I'm trying to quickly change the subject, we have 10S TARDIS. Who he's asking, or she is asking, who would be the deadliest comic book character with a symbiote? Now,
That's a good question.
I answered this pretty quickly, to be honest, years ago in one of our superhero smackdowns that we've done on our podcast. And if you haven't checked them out, please do. It's where we pick characters against each other, and we all talk about it, and we kind of root for who we want, and then we discuss. But I had, in one of the arguments, I had Norman Osborn get the symbiote suit, and this was before the Red Goblin, all that I had decided. And you can go back, you can look at the history of it. I did this a year or two before they even came up with the idea.
That's true.
And I think that Norman Osborn is, and still probably, I would say he's Lex Luthor level as far as like being just an overall evil person and a bad dude. But
Evil genius.
I think Luthor has a propensity for good at times, and I think he's a little more mechanically inclined than Osborn. So I would say for Marvel, probably Norman Osborn, and for DC, Lex Luthor would probably be the two really badasses.
Kind of surprised by that answer.
Lobo.
For some reason, I thought he was going to say Lobo.
What about
I
Lobo?
would have thought that was
Lobo
where you were
would-
going.
That would be kind of cool.
You know, I think the symbiote would get annoyed with Lobo after a bit. To be honest. I don't think the bar is set pretty high on the brains level when it comes to Lobo.
And for non-comic book characters, I'm going to go with George Costanza from Seinfeld
Mm.
because he is a walking sociopath.
Okay.
He let that woman die in the elevator. Okay,
Oh.
he just let her die.
Well,
He could've
see,
very
he
easily-
subscribes to the Thanos theory.
He just subscribes to something. I mean, dude, he's deceivingly sick. I'm telling you. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, who would you have? You said you didn't say Lobo. Did you say Lobo?
Yeah,
Is that your choice?
Yeah, I think Lobo would be kind of a cool character.
Lobo
to
would
have
be
a
your choice?
symbiote.
Okay.
Yeah. that'd be
See,
kinda
I was originally thinking Brainiac, but Brainiac doesn't need a symbiote.
Not really. And you know, I mean, we could go with the Joker, because obviously, you know, Carnage. We just said that he's basically the opposite, and that's if you want to, create a lot of carnage.
See, I would have thought Sandman too in the Spider-Man universe, because Sandman, after all, is a murderer, a thug, and all those various things. And if you gave him a symbiote, oh my god.
I mean, yeah, but he's a little more generic for me as far as like he walks that line sometimes of being good. So for me, that would be cool. But I think I'd want to see somebody that could really tear up in that thing.
Omega Red.
Omega Red could definitely do some damage. Yeah, that could be some bad news. What about if we didn't do Marvel or DC and we gave the suit to somebody else within there, like outside of Marvel or DC? I think Negan.
Savage Dragon.
Negan would have been a good choice.
Oh,
in The Walking
Negan's
Dead.
Negan's an SOB, man.
Savage Dragon. Would be
Savage
cool.
Dragon have fun with it.
Yeah, Savage Dragon certainly.
What about your boy, the Governor?
The Governor. I think Nailbiter.
Nailbiter.
The guy from Nailbiter would be pretty freaky.
Oh, God. Why is his name escaping me? The something of
Hellboy.
souls.
But it'd be cool. The what?
The something of souls. His name's escaping me right now from Preacher.
Oh, the Saint Killer.
Saint of Killers. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would
that
love
would
it.
be nuts.
I would like that.
That would be nuts.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to the topic at hand.
Yes.
Let's get back to this. Okay, so as far as time, we are getting kind of low on time here. So we got about 10, 15 minutes, and then we're going to wrap this up. So we're going to start winding down as far as like your guys' pitch. Now, Darren, since Kevin came out of the gate first, I'm going to have you give the best pitch that you can
That's rebuttal.
towards basically this is you're in your trial and you've got to wrap everything up. You're speaking to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there's your jury. Here's your jury here, the audience over here. We have some people here.
I paid you well. You know how to vote.
May I speak?
And go for it.
My fellow Americans, you have to ask yourself in this 1980 election, were the last 4 years better than the current 4 years that I can promise you? Okay, so anyway, well, this guy Ronald Reagan,
Oh, that was a bad Ronald Reagan.
Well, you might think so, but you see, here you
No,
go.
that was-
I think you're 40 years too late, buddy.
All right, so anyway, here's my kind of pitch to this. The biggest point I feel that I'm making right now is, how do you know your right to do what you would like to do? As I've said, in human history, which is all I can really identify with, if you have given someone the power and the opportunity to create population control, I just am struggling to find an example that has ever been a good idea, or it has ever ended up the right way, like we had talked about with Joseph Stalin. If you were rich, you were dead, unless, of course, you gave all your money to him, and then you were poor. So, I mean, that's one. Obviously, Adolf Hitler would be one. Obviously, you could name a variety of ancient Egyptian, ancient Rome, ancient Carthaginians. Like, this is never a good idea. And the fact is, what if you get it wrong? Because the reality of the situation is, too, all those people that you're getting rid of, you could literally have the person who's about to cure cancer that you just wiped off the map because some algorithm explained to you that you have to wipe them off the map. You can have an opportunity where you have someone who creates maybe the next permanent food source, if you really believe we're in food shortages, that can sustain billions and billions of people, animals, and so on and so forth. They literally could be wiped off the planet because you didn't know any better. And simultaneously, you could be keeping people alive that are absolutely useless to our society. People who would win the quote unquote Darwin Awards. That's funny. But you could also be keeping people alive that can seriously threaten the world. So that is the biggest pitch that I will make, that there's absolutely no way this is a good idea.
Do you know where Carthage is? Or where it was?
It's in Africa.
Do you know which part?
I mean, Africa's a big country. So.
Oh, whoa. Not a country. It's a continent.
Continent. Yes, it is. South
50,
Africa.
54 countries. 54 countries. There
Yes,
you
it
go.
is. Yes. I do not recall exact. I want to say Northern Africa, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Located in modern day Tunisia.
Tunisia. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it just has slipped my mind.
Okay.
And what's your point, Kevin?
No, I'm just asking if he knows where it is. That's
Hannibal is at the
okay.
gates.
This
Yes,
is
Hannibal's
this
at
is
the
a
gates.
good thing that Kevin just did.
I don't know if you guys paid attention there out in the audience, but Kevin tried to make Darren look silly. It didn't quite work, but he was trying to undermine his opponent. This is something that they do often in politics. So Kevin's deployed an arsenal of techniques, and this is just one of them tonight. So keep that in mind. And now, since Kevin seems to be ready to chomp at the bit, Darren, are you kind of wrapped up here?
That is my quick pitch.
Okay. So,
Well,
Kevin, if you can give as quick a pitch,
yes.
and Darren, if you want to make him look silly, you can certainly try.
Now, you've heard of the bubonic plague, right?
Of course.
How
Black
devastated
Death.
Europe.
Mhm.
Now, as horrible as it was, if it wasn't for that, Europe wouldn't have the start that it had later on to have the Renaissance and many other things, because it actually set up a brighter future for Europe.
So you're actually justifying through death that was a good thing.
Thanos would.
Okay.
And also, here's something else that's also very important. We see deforestation, global warming, habitat loss because there's too many humans. We have to, as I said earlier, you have to wipe out, parts of the Amazon rainforest so we can have, more farmland for humans. That's too much. You have so many species that have gone extinct over the last 100 years, mainly because of humans. Is it fair that the dodo bird is no longer around? Is it fair that the woolly mammoth is no longer around? Is it fair?
Are you asking me, or are
I'm
you
asking
pitching?
you. I'm asking you.
Well, of course, it's not fair, but at the same
So
time,
many beautiful
See,
creatures.
he can't let me
I'm
answer.
sorry.
So, but I'm just saying, of course, it's not fair. But I mean, you're making such a strong Darwinian argument, but now you're arguing against Darwinism.
Also-
I don't get it.
Also, another thing. all the disease that's in this world right now, if half the population was gone, we'd be able to reduce
Why
the
is
spread
there
of disease.
Why is there disease in this world?
Think about with global travel, people on planes, just the coronavirus going on right now.
Yeah.
If there were less people around, they'd be less.
But is the coronavirus bad because China is kind of a sucky government that actually lets people suffer?
which is that to their face.
I mean, I suppose.
I think he is right now. Actually,
Look,
We just got banned in
I
China.
thought we had a Chinese sponsor recently.
banned in China.
I thought we obtained a Chinese sponsor.
Oh,
Sorry,
they
Kevin.
left
Keep
right
making
away.
your instead of trying to ask me rhetorical questions, you should be making your statements.
My brothers and sisters in the audience, I know this is very cold-blooded, but you have to think that Thanos ultimately had good intentions with the snap. Now, he may not apply the snap properly, but if he was to use the time gem and see all the different permutations of human beings and human consciousness out there, he could snap the correct beings out of his existence.
Just remember, General Assad had good intentions by gassing his own people to death. My point is, the road to hell is paved through good intentions.
Yes, that is an old saying, but using algorithms, using the power of this time stone, you could narrow it down and pinpoint specifically down to every correct person that needs to be properly eliminated.
Are you finished?
Of
Are
course-
you finished?
Of course not.
Now, before... Oh, sorry. Please continue.
So that's why you should vote for the approval and the righteousness of the Thanos snap.
All right. Now, before Donald weighs in here, I'd like to take an opportunity, since we're on this theme right now. Vanna, may I please have Watchmen number 1? Speaking of a story of eliminating a large population, let's take Watchmen number 1 here. Of course, we have our favorite first appearances of Rorschach, Ozymandias, Dr. Manhattan, the Silk Spectre, and the Night Owl. And low-key, everybody, for those of you who follow Donald's artistic taste, he quite likes this film that was done by Zack Snyder.
I do. I love it. I
11
think it
years
was
ago.
great. I think it was great. If you don't like it, fight me. You know where I live.
Whoa, do they know where you live?
No, here,
You would-
practically.
Do you want to provide the address to where you live?
Come here to We Can Be Heroes. I'll fight you.
Yeah, a lot of people
We'll
have
live
fight
broadcast.
you. A lot of people would fight you.
I'll whoop them.
You sure?
I'll whoop them.
You sure about that?
I'll whoop all your ass.
There's a guy right there who's saying that he can take you on.
Oh yeah, what's his name? Is it you, Kevin?
No, it's Black Rook 7. I think he says he can take you.
Oh yeah, really? I don't think so, Evan. I don't think so. I know who you are.
I'm sorry, Evan. I'm sorry I did that to you.
All right, so basically, we have to vote now, guys.
Uh-oh.
This is for all the marbles here, okay? All the marbles. We have Kevin's argument here against,
No, 4.
or we have Kevin's argument here for basically eliminating people. So he thinks that we should just get rid of all of them, or half at least. We have Darren over here that's saying no, we shouldn't get rid of people. He likes people.
And remember,
I
I'm
like
smart.
people too.
I'm smarter because I have glasses.
And he just pulled out the glasses. Oh, man,
I'm
this is
wearing a
not
fedora
going
hat,
well.
a very gentlemanly
So-
hat.
Basically, what we're going to have you guys do is this thing just keeps
Oh,
going
I
off.
see a Darren there. Thank you.
So we're going to have you guys
Thank you.
vote. Please vote in the chat if you're voting for Team Kevin or Team Darren. The most votes gets to wear the gauntlet and gets the proud privilege of knowing that they were right.
Well, I already know I'm
and
right.
the other person
So-
is- and the other
And
person
for
is
those
wrong.
of you who are going to vote Team Kevin, we will be judging you. And I hope to God you never hold this thing, because I'll be off. I will
So-
be off the map.
So go ahead and vote. We'll give it a couple minutes. In the meantime, you watch Kevin play with the gauntlet, and
Or we can do something even remotely productive for our friends here at We Can Be Heroes and talk about additional first appearances, including this one here. Thank you very much. Right now, we
I got
have
this book.
incredible. Oh, this is good stuff.
Look at this.
So, Donald, if you do want to get in a fight by the end of the evening, Kevin's going to brag about a book that he has that you may not.
No, I think he has it.
Okay, this is Incredible Hulk number 271 here at We Can Be Heroes. First appearance of Rocket Raccoon
Look at this.
that is actually put together right here. Rocket Raccoon is awesome. because someone voted for Kevin, and
See?
they should be walking away because they're shameful. All right, here we go. We have Incredible Hulk number 271. Right here, the first appearance of Rocket Raccoon, played by Bradley Cooper in the Guardians of the Galaxy. So, Kevin, I imagine you have a slightly better copy than Donald. Fight it out, guys. Fight it out.
Probably by approximately 0.5.
I don't know. You'd have to check all 3 of my copies. Just saying.
And final one of the evening, thank you. The first full appearance, this is Spider-Man number 43, the first full appearance of Mary Jane Watson, especially for our ladies out there in the audience. Mary Jane Watson is one of the most relatable, cool characters in comic books from the female gender.
It's a pretty looking book. Is that Rhino on the cover?
This is Rhino on the cover. It has his origin story in here as well. So just keep in mind, this is an 8.5, and you can get this at We Can Be Heroes. This is on sale right now. This is just some beautiful stuff right here.
Oh, look at this. Good man, TARDIS. His girlfriend votes for me. There we go.
Okay, there we go.
So we have a couple votes here. We're going to have to call it here soon. So anybody please get in your vote right now on who you want to vote for. We have 1 for Darren and 2 for Kevin. Is that it?
There might be a third there, it looks like, was it from Blackbrook there? Right. I was putting the baby to
vote for
sleep.
Kevin. So 3 votes for Kevin, 1 for Darren, 2 for Darren.
Ooh.
3 for Darren.
Oh, we got a tie.
3 for Darren, 3 for Kevin.
We have to have a tie.
Is there anybody else left in the audience that has not voted?
Is our panel weighing in? That's pretty amazing.
Everybody voted? So we're at a tie of 3 and 3.
We need a tiebreaker.
I mean, we could, or I have a better idea, guys.
What's that?
Since Kevin got to 3 first, Kevin gets the gauntlet. So let's go with that.
I'm slightly disturbed right here that there was
as it should be, as it should be,
as many things should be.
Voting for. All right, so Blackbrook, we are actually voting for. Do you preserve life? That's my argument. Or do you snap like Thanos?
Hey, I'm preserving life by eliminating life. By eliminating life, I'm preserving it.
That's correct.
So that means if Kevin gets the gauntlet, then Darren gets this gauntlet, which is to preserve life.
The life.
So I guess it's fitting in this way.
I am life.
That we have 2 winners. We have a tie. We have a pro-life.
Southpaws are better.
A pro-Thanos.
Left-handed's better.
And
this is Iron Man.
If anybody would like to come by and pick up this comic book, I was going to give it to the loser. I drew a dick on it.
Team Kev. Oh, man.
Thanks, Black Rook.
All right.
Well, besides that, thank you everybody for coming out. Thank you for listening to the Real Short Box. Have a great night. Please find us on YouTube, on Spreaker, on Instagram, on iTunes, on
Google Play,
on Spotify, on Blueberry, just basically any podcasting format you can find us on. We are there. Especially YouTube Live. Find us here. We love it. And if you don't find us on YouTube Live and you don't find us, someplace else, maybe we'll see you here
at the gracious, lovely, infinitely beautiful comic shop.
Good night, Canada.
I thought you didn't like Canada.
That's we're off the air. I thought you didn't.